It's been a while since we... Oh, hello. Ah! It's been a while since we've done something a little creepy, so let's make ourselves some custom journals. I don't know about you guys, but I am a professional paper collector. There is something about blank paper that I absolutely love, which means I end up with stacks and stacks of notebooks and sketchbooks that I will never be able to get through in my life. And they also are not always super interesting. And I am far more likely to use something if it is aesthetically pleasing than if it's just a plain Jane everyday notebook. And of course, my phone just happens to know that this is something that I am interested in because my Pinterest feed is filled with beautiful books that are gilded and have fantastic cover designs. And I kind of have that overconfidence gene that says if I see something, I could probably make it. So that's what today is about. And while we do that, I am going to tell you guys about my last market fail because it was pretty disappointing. So let's talk about the things you're going to need for this and we will get working. First and foremost is going to be your journals. I have two things. This is a Dungeons and Dragons campaign planner that I designed and I had a sample printed. It has a cover, but I like the linen cover on this instead. I want to make this look fancier. I also have one of those really cheap sketchbooks that you can get from any arts and crafts store. I think it was like less than $10 on sale. It's big. It has a weave to it. It definitely has a texture and we're gonna have to navigate around that. You are also going to need some foil transfer sheets. I have the Cricut foil transfer sheets. I actually found these at a closeout store for $2. There are 8 sheets in here. I've gone through a few of them, but of course I bought as many of them as I could. So I have them on hand and I got them cheap. But I did look them up online and this pack is like $6 or $7, which for 8 sheets, you actually get quite a bit. I think it's a pretty good price. You are going to need a wood burner tool. I have had this forever. I got it on sale years and years and years ago, and I never really use it. I tested it out with some leather, but this is the perfect application for this. And it means that you don't need a Cricut because I know not everybody has one, and I also know that people that do have one don't always take them out. If you have a wood burner, you can sit at your kitchen table and do this. As far as I can tell, there's no fumes or anything that are let off by this. It is very accessible. I do have some tacky glue. I'm not positive I'm going to use it yet, but I would like to incorporate some 3D elements to this. Along with the tacky glue, if you want to do 3D elements, you have to have the elements to put on it. I have this silly idea that maybe I could use these 1 penny, 1 pence. They're pretty cool. They kind of have a Victorian vibe to them, I guess. I'm not sure if I'm going to use them yet, but I might. I also have 1 20 pence piece that I am going to maybe try to incorporate somewhere. People use pennies for flooring, so using British pence, it's the same thing. Finally, you're going to need some Scotch tape. So we've got all of our stuff. I think my wood burner is warmed up. So let's get set up and we'll talk about what we're doing as well as why this last market was a fail. Just for your reference, I have my wood burner right in this yellow range right here. And what I have found is that there is a sweet spot that won't burn through things and we'll get it transferred and it'll make our lives a little bit easier. The other thing you are going to need, of course, is some artwork. So I have 2 options. This one I think is going to go on the sketchbook, and then this one I think is going to go on the planner. I am going to have to trim this down though to fit on the cover. I designed all of my artwork in Canva. The free version is fantastic, but the paid version is incredible. Canva doesn't sponsor anything on here, although I wish you would because I love you. Canva Pro is one of those services that I will gladly pay for the full version of because it's just so good. However, you can use anything you want to make your artwork. Let me get this trimmed down and we will move into the next step. So while I'm doing this, let me tell you about my market. So last weekend, I went down to the Outer Banks. My brother and his girlfriend lived down there, and they were holding Dare Days, which is like the biggest event in Dare County, which is Nags Head, Kitty Hawk, Manio, and they always have an art market the first Saturday in June. And it is supposed to be one of the biggest events in the area. I have my art printed out. I have it trimmed down so that it fits. And I'm not really going to worry about if it's centered or not. If you wanted to do that, I would just mark the center point of your cover and then fold this guy in half and mark the center point there. Now I need to get a foil transfer sheet that fits this same size. These sheets are 12 inches by 12 inches. You get 8 in a pack, and they are so thin that it's a little difficult to kind of manage sometimes. They're very floaty. So I'm gonna cut this sheet so that it fits on the cover, and then I'll show you how I set this up to get it started. I signed up for this art market, and I go down on Friday evening. I got to hang out with my brother and his girlfriend. She is actually a fire spinner or a fire dancer, so I got to see her perform. It was very cool. And we sweated a lot. We walked around, got some tacos, had a great time on Friday. Things were lovely. Bright and early on Saturday, got myself back over to Manio so that I could set up. I was a little concerned about my booth just because it kind of looked like it was tucked away in a corner and I wasn't sure if anybody was going to be able to find me. But it actually ended up being maybe one of the best spots because I was in the shade all day and it was blazing hot. So the way you set this up is the foil needs to go foil side up because it does have a gray side, but remember you want the pretty side to be left behind. So we put the pretty side up, and then I am going to tape the edges of this so that it doesn't move. One of the bad things about this is because it is so light, it will shift around. It's going to do that no matter what, but we want to try to avoid it as much as possible. I'll just put a little bit of tape on the places that I know the design isn't going to go. We're going to try to avoid stretching it. We want it to be taut, but we don't want it to be pulled. I don't know if that makes any sense at all. I get all set up for the market. It is a one-day market, so it goes 11 o'clock in the morning to 6 p.m. There was a threat of thunderstorms, but you're at the beach. I feel like there's always a threat of thunderstorms. It is what it is. And it was hot. It was like 86 degrees, but again, when you're at the beach, I feel like that's kind of the way it is. I was enthusiastic. I was hopeful. And that hope was definitely kind of reinforced because we had shoppers before the official start time. We had people coming by at 10:30. I think I made my first sale before 11. I was like, heck yeah, we are in a good place here. And then disaster struck. And by disaster, I mean no one was there. No one. It was crazy how dead the day was. Probably around noon, I think. My brother came in to hang out with me. He works for Dare County as a video producer, so he was there to get some footage of the events anyway. He walked around and was kind of astonished at how few people were actually there, which didn't make me feel great. I know I've got some pull lines here, but that's okay. That's kind of in the corner. So I'm going to take my design and I am going to center it as much as I want it centered. You center yours as much as you want it centered, and we're going to tape this guy down as well. So I cut it a little too narrow right here, and what that means is that I've got to be careful where my tape goes, because if my tape is over my design, the heat's not going to get through the way it needs to get the foil down. So I'm going to have to probably tape it over here. I was talking to one of the vendors next to me, and she had come to Dare Days a couple of times and said that every time she was there, she made almost her whole year's worth of sales in this one day. And she was, I think, kind of astonished at how few people were actually there shopping that day, which made me feel good that it wasn't me, or maybe it was me. Maybe everybody heard that I was coming and they were like, haha, no thanks. But it was affecting everybody the same way. So I have my setup all done. I've got my book, then the foil taped down, and then my art taped down. Now we're gonna take our wood burner that's the tip that I have for it. It's rounded, which means it's not going to slice through the paper. There are bigger rounded tips for these, but I like this size. I think it's just easier to get some of the details. All we do is just go over the design with the wood burner. We'll check it in 1 or 2 places just to make sure that it's transferring, but I'm almost positive it's going to, and you just go over the whole thing. Let's test it down here just to make sure. And one of the ways you can tell that it's working is that if I pull the paper up, you can kind of see how the foil is maybe stuck to the book. You can see the line right here. It's not super dark. So what it means is I'm gonna go over this spot again, like 1 or 2 more times, and just see if it improves that line. And if not, I'm gonna turn the heat up just a smidge. Yeah, I mean, it improved a little bit, but I think I'm gonna turn the heat up just a little bit more because I don't want to burn through the paper, but I need the heat to get through that. So we'll go maybe just right there. And I'll give that a minute to warm back up, and then we'll come back and check it again. Our heat is up a little bit. We're not burning through the paper, but you can hopefully see that the lines look a little more even and a little more pronounced. So we're going to start on the artwork. The nice thing is, if we get the outline done, then we can take the paper off and redefine it a little bit more directly on the foil. But the important thing right now is to get the outline done. I don't have any preference where I start. I just go. And the key is to go nice and slow. Yeah, you can go over things multiple times, but that is going to take you forever. Actually, it's going to take you more than forever because going slow is already going to take you forever. When you go over prints like this, it does kind of change it a little bit. Now this is laser printing, it's not inkjet printing, so inkjet's gonna respond a little differently, but it's a good way to tell that you've gone over something, that it kind of gets darker and flatter. And you can also kind of feel it a little bit. I'm gonna put on some tunes and get to work on this, and we'll see how long it takes to do this. A little side note, my brother is a stupidly talented photographer. I think he deserves so much more attention than he actually gets. If you are in the market for beach photography that is a little moody, take a look at Actively Awkward. He would be mortified if he knew that I was talking about his stuff publicly at all. So only if you're in the market for some art, take a look at his stuff because it really is pretty awesome. Thank you. That was my chair. See? One thing you need to decide when you're getting started is how you're going to fill in your black areas. With this particular art, you can see it's kind of cross-hatched in there, and I like that because it doesn't have to be solid. It can be messy, and it still will look right. And then be prepared when you get the whole thing done, that when you take the paper off, to go back in and fill in some of the areas. Here's the trick though, you have to do that before you take the foil off, because it's very difficult to take the foil off, realize there are some dead spots, and then put the foil back on and fill it in. It's not impossible, but it's just difficult. It's gonna take a while. We got time today. I am 15 minutes into the process, 16 minutes in, and I have pretty much from here up done. That gives you any indication about how long this takes. So I'm gonna keep going. I think it's probably gonna take a good 20-30 minutes to get all of the things done on top of what I've already done. I will check back in with you when I'm finished. All right, it took me 52 minutes to do the whole thing, and I know I'm still gonna have to fill in some spots, but I want to take this piece of tape off, peel this back, and see what the foil underneath looks like. I did not shade in the eyes or the nose just yet because it's gonna take a little while and I want to be able to see what I'm doing. And that's kind of what it ends up looking like. So you can see how the spots that I went over definitely look different than the spots I didn't go over. I don't even know if I want to fill in some of the blank spots because it very clearly is supposed to be black. The letters look pretty good. Yeah, we'll just fill in some of the details and then peel the foil off and see what it looks like. And I think this is a little too hot, so I'm going to turn it down just a little bit and give it a chance to cool down. So I'm just filling in some of the spots I know are supposed to be black, fading them out just a little bit so that there is an illusion of shadowing here. And you may need to flip that back over so that you can reference your original artwork, which is why I keep it taped at the top so that when I lay it back down, it's in the same spot. If you untape the whole thing, then it's gonna be really hard to realign it to what you've already done. I'll get the eyes filled in and the nose, and then we will take the foil off. It is ready to be peeled up. So I'm just gonna go ahead and take the original artwork off. And what's cool about this is you can use this again. It's a little flat. You can see where I've gone over it, but you could use it again if you wanted to. All right, check this out. Oh my goodness. Oh, that looks so good. Look at that. Wow. That's pretty cool, if I do say so myself. I did this as a test, so I feel like I need to do it right here as well. I almost wish I would have left the eyes open and the nose just to make them a little more defined. But what we can do is we can take some black paint or something and we can go through some of these outlines just to get it to pop a little bit. I forgot the little lines in the R. You see that? But the other thing to note is, like, I can rub on this and I really don't have anything that comes off on my hands. It's so cool. I mean, seriously, like, it's so shiny. And it took about an hour. So the next thing I would want to try to figure out is how could I put maybe some 3D or some tactile something into this, because this is really nice. I think this is great, but I want to figure out how to ruin it. I don't really want to ruin it, but what I do want is, I don't know, something that you can kind of feel. I know as soon as I do it, it's not going to be good. I'll think about that one. I have different color foils. Here's the rose gold that I've been using, and I absolutely love that color. But I also have silver and I have red. Red is pretty neat. Doing this in red would be pretty awesome. I think I'm gonna do that. Get this set up, put it on this guy in red, and this is why you don't go in and put the foil back down when you've already taken it up. I was trying to fix the N and it didn't get it aligned correctly, so now I've got it up here. I can go in with some paint later and try to clean it up a little bit, but I mean, it's on there. Might be able to take the tool and burn it off a little bit. It's not bad. I mean, it works a little bit. Kind of burn those away so it's less noticeable. How's that? Just have to take it one step too far every time. Once you have your used piece of foil, you still have plenty of space here to add little bits and bobs to your design. You can take that extra space, and I added like the star. Again, it just gives it a little bit of extra interest. Takes it from fantastic to too much fantastic, which is my perfect amount of fantastic. I have been working for a few hours. I also took a nap in between there, and I have the red done on this. I also went through and outlined it with a black Sharpie just to kind of make it pop a little bit more. I also have the green one that you have already seen. I'm doing a little experiment on a book as well. I picked up this bright blue opera guide. More for the colors than the context, I guess. I want to see if it will work on this one as well because it has a different texture. I think I'm gonna call it a day, and then tomorrow we'll come back out. I would really like to figure out a way to put some 3D elements onto this one just to give it even more interest, and I may even paint some of it so that you get the contrast of the metallic with the paint and the 3D things. So we'll experiment with that tomorrow, and then we'll see how the blue one turns out. In general, this is very, very easy. I could stop now and it would still look really good, and I think that I would be very happy with it. But we gotta push for too much because why not? Because that's the way we are. I'll see you guys tomorrow. It is very stormy and I love it. I actually had a little stroke of inspiration using my crazy glue, tacky glue, I guess. I'm coming in and adding some dimension in the candle. Let me show you what that looks like because it's gonna need overnight to dry and then we can like paint it or something, but look at this. Ta freaking ta. I think that's gonna look pretty doggone cool. Once again, I will see you tomorrow. Welcome to day 2. These have actually turned out a whole lot better than I thought they were going to, especially with the glue details. Let me show you kind of what I'm going with right now and what the plans are for today. So what I've done, and it's kind of hard to see, but I've taken just white glue and I've made it into the wax that's dripping down. I think I want to maybe use silver on this so that it stands out against the gold, so it's a little bit different. But what that's done is it's kind of given the 3D tactile that I wanted that the foil just doesn't do on its own. So I think today is going in and putting in those details and then we will be done. If I had thought about it in advance, I might have started with some glue details, but I don't know if it would have been worth it or not because I'd have to freehand a lot more stuff. This is the path that the universe has taken me on, so this is the path that we're gonna stay on. I wish I had a smaller container of this and B, something with a much finer nozzle to it so I could really use the bottle to squirt in some details, because what I was doing yesterday was using my awl for it and it works fine. It's just not quite as neat. Whatever, it is what it is. Let's get gluing. Also, I'm really trying to embrace my curly hair, curly-ish wavy hair, but it drives me insane. I was lucky enough to get a haircut when I was down at the beach. The haircut works, but having hair in my face is a sensory nightmare that I just can't stand. We're working on it though. Ultimately, this market just did not work out for me. My sales were very low. Maybe it is the state of the economy. Maybe it's because there were like 14 other events that were going on in the Outer Banks at the exact same time as this. I don't know. I'm trying not to be too discouraged, but this is like the 3rd flop in a row. I need a win. Stay tuned because I'm sure I'm going to try it again at some point and hopefully it won't fail. Hopefully. So I feel like I could do this part all day long. I feel like I could put glue down and then put foil over it, and I think it would be really cool. There's some potential in this. The green book I love. I think it's turning out perfectly. I'm just waiting for a few things to dry. And the black one, I could also do some painting on this one, but I'm not super sure. I'm trying to decide if I am done or if I keep going, because this is one of those projects you can sit and just fiddle with for hours until it feels right, I guess. I don't know what to do. I'm probably gonna futz with it for a while. I'll show it to you when I'm done. So here's the end product. This project is almost perfect. It is pretty cheap to get started. You don't need a ton of stuff. It doesn't take up a whole lot of space, and it is infinitely customizable. You don't even need to know how to draw. You just need a printer and something that's gonna make some art for you. Now I kind of have this urge to go to the thrift store and pick up a couple of hardcover novels so that I can take the dust jacket off and decorate the actual cover of it. Because we all know, once you take that dust cover off, the books are ugly for the most part. So this is a really cool way to kind of zhuzh up any of those books that you might have laying around that just are not interesting. And these guys aren't perfect. I see a lot of room for improvement in the work that I did, but I also see a whole lot of space for more. And I've decided that more is definitely good. We're gonna go more in all the things. So if you're looking for a creative project to do on your own, something with your family or with some friends, I think this is a great place to start because it really is so accessible for just about everybody. I would like to take a minute to thank all of my makers over on Ko-fi. It is because of you all that I'm able to do a lot of the things over here, so thank you so much for your support. If you are interested in supporting the channel and you want to become a maker, it is only $2 a month. And you can scan the QR code here, or the link is in the description as well. For those $2, you support me and all the silly things that we do. But Ko-fi is also where I sell a lot of my found fabrics and sewing notions that I pick up while I'm thrifting or when I'm out and about. I am very slowly trying to clean out my workshop and get rid of some stuff. So take a peek over there. My makers have first dibs at anything that I post. Eventually I do make it public, but you all have first dibs. So that is it for now. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give the video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.